In his novels, Rizal showcases characters that can be said to stand as metaphors or embodiments of certain points of view, such as Ibarra for Rizal and Sisa for the Philippines. For this analysis, the character in question is Basilio. Basilio started as a young boy from San Diego, working as a sacristan with his brother Crispin. He flees after his brother is accused of stealing money from the parish. He later resurfaces to briefly reunite with his mother Sisa before she dies. He meets Elias, who gives him some money and tells him to run. He then goes to Manila, where Capitan Tiago takes him in out of pity. He was able to study first at Letran, then at Ateneo Municipal, where he meets with his sweetheart Noli. He encounters the underground revolutionary Simon, who tries to recruit him multiple times, only succeeding after Basilio learns of Noli's suicide. Basilio takes charge of the plan to blow up an important wedding reception. However, he revealed this plan to his friend Isagani in an attempt to save him. Isagani's sweetheart is the bride, so this backfires as he reveals the bomb to the party. Basilio fled after hearing Isagani's refusal to back off. From here, we will show you similarities of Basilio's character to the modern Filipinos of our present day. Sisa's situation also affects Basilio's character. The nature of a mother's interactions with society heavily influences her child's development. Seeing how the Guardia Civil and other people treated her, Basilio did not develop a sense of loyalty nor devotion to his country. Due to this, during the early parts of El Filibusterismo, he wasn't necessarily that perturbed with the Philippines being a province of Spain or finding a way to find peace between both sides. However, this changed once his beloved was raped and effectively killed by one of the friars. It's an unfortunate truth that some Filipinos will only fight for their country when something personal to them is affected. Similar to how Ibarra transitioned from Ibarra to Simon after the events of Noli Tangere, Basilio also has that change with Juli's death. Another similarity we can see is with the role of education in awakening the social consciousness of individuals. Universities tend to create avenues for greater understanding and involvement in social affairs. A lot of activism occurs there. For Basilio, higher learning allowed him to realize that a great deal of work would be needed to lessen the gap between the Filipinos and the Spaniards. It also allowed him to see that this gap wasn't something that he could just ignore. In regards to many modern Filipinos, education can shed a light that allows us to see past the facade that some higher-up officials and the elites of society show us. It allows us to see that even after all the fighting we had done against our colonizers, we cannot seem to stop the oppression that occurs amongst our very own countrymen. Using education, we are able to spread this news and work together towards a better tomorrow. Now that we have learned of some similarities, it is best we learn about which traits of Basilio's we should follow and which ones we should not. First off, one thing we can learn from the life of Basilio would be the importance of education. It was only through the kindness of a stranger that Basilio was able to study at all. Regardless of your station in life, as it was mentioned earlier, education allows for us to view the world in a different light. Unfortunately, some Filipinos tend to look down on education, either due to their laziness or due to the preconceived notions in the system itself. However, if we could just encourage everyone to value education a little more, we may be able to enact actual change that can benefit our countrymen. Another trait of Basilio's that is worth mimicking would be his determination. Whether if it's in his fight for equality or his fight for vengeance, Basilio doesn't back down easily. It is a common perception that Filipinos tend to be rather complacent with their own positions and that they don't strive for more. That when faced with adversity, many tend to back down. While it may sometimes be wise not to get involved in conflict, this is not always the case, and we cannot keep cowering from the unknown. Sometimes, for the things that truly matter, we need to take a leap of faith. While Basilio is a role model in his own right, there are some things that we need to avoid or reevaluate when it comes to following in Basilio's footsteps. One of Basilio's negative traits would be his loyalty to his friends. While this isn't necessarily bad, being too invested in the safety and well-being of your friends above all else may hinder both you and the people around you. In the final chapters of El Filibusterismo, we see how this manifests when Basilio's determination wavers when he is met with the possibility of his friend Isagani dying. He's forced to choose between his friend's life or the betterment of his country. Some would argue that by allowing Isagani to live, Basilio is in the morally good area. However, to look at it with a different perspective, by being unable to do what is right for the many, you are now viewed as a traitor in a way. Regardless, in our own lives, it is important that we evaluate our personal relationships and make objective judgments on the company we keep. Another questionable trait that Basilio has would be his own optimism. Similar to the previous trait, optimism isn't inherently negative under normal circumstances. However, in Basilio's case, this optimism made him view his country and his people through rose-colored glasses. This made him rather slow and quite dense when it came to offering solutions to help solve this inequality between the Filipinos and the Spaniards at his time.